breaking news.
Free Marcelo! Free Marcelo! Free Marcelo! Free Marcelo!
And we want to begin tonight with new information on a student from Milford High who was detained by ICE yesterday. Tonight, his community rallied, chanting "Free Marcelo" in protest to support 18-year-old Marcelo Gomes. Good evening and thanks for joining us. Ken McLeod with you on this Sunday. The teen's plight is spreading fear in a community where there are a ton of migrant families. And tonight the governor is demanding answers, saying she is disturbed and outraged. We have live team coverage for you tonight, from the teenager's family to that major show of support to the governor's obvious displeasure. Let's begin with WBZ's Logan Hall, who first broke this story yesterday. Logan?
Yeah, Ken, that's right. Good evening. It was an emotional day for Marcelo's family. Now, they tell us that Marcelo was able to speak with his parents, and he described the harsh conditions that he's being kept in. There was a big protest here at Town Hall today with members of this community rallying behind Marcelo, some of those images that you just saw. Now, that whole rally provided a lot of hope for this family. Friends and family rallying in support of Marcelo Gomes, the 18-year-old Milford High School student who was detained by ICE on his way to volleyball practice on Saturday.
He was on his way to volleyball practice, and separating him from his family. He's been here for 13 years. This is all he knows. Milford in Massachusetts is all he knows.
Marcelo's cousin Anna says he was supposed to play the drums at Sunday's graduation ceremony. While the community is rallying behind him, it's still an incredibly difficult moment for his family.
It's kind of heartbreaking, and Marcelo is just such a kind person, and he's the last person that this should be happening to, I guess. And his siblings are so young, and they're like asking questions like whether they're gonna ever see him again.
Anna tells us Marcelo was able to call his parents and that he's currently being held at an ICE detention center in Burlington. We spoke exclusively to one of the other students in the car while he was arrested. This student is also undocumented and asked that his identity be withheld. He described what he was feeling as agents interrogated him and detained Marcelo.
I think mainly sadness that the thought of everything that my parents left behind, everything that my parents sacrificed for, and the 10 years we've been here, all of that just gone down the drain. Everything I had personally worked for in my high school career, all of that just down the drain, and knowing and having to go back to a place where I was never really familiar with.
In a statement, Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey said, quote, "I'm demanding that ICE provide immediate information about why he was arrested, where he is, and how his due process is being protected." For Anna and her family, there was an emptiness to graduation today, with Marcelo's absence being felt. But seeing the community come together and support her cousin brings them hope.
It makes me really happy because I don't think the community would come together like this for any other person. It shows how special he is.
Again, Marcelo is an 18-year-old student here at Milford High. He's a member of the volleyball team and is described as a funny and lovable student, someone who is well known across this campus. We've reached out to ICE for comment on this case, and they still have not gotten back to us. Reporting live in Milford, Logan Hall, WBZ News.
All right, Logan, thanks for that. I know you'll stay on it. The community turned out in numbers following today's high school graduation ceremony in Milford, where Gomes was supposed to play in the band. Hundreds gathered to support him, and WBZ's Paul Burton picks up our team coverage from Town Hall there.
Just an incredible outpouring of love here from the Milford community as students, faculty, friends rally on behalf of 18-year-old Marcelo, who was detained yesterday and was supposed to be a day of celebration. Students say there's a sense of emptiness and loss.
Free Marcelo! Free Marcelo! Free Marcelo!
An emotional display of love for Milford High School student Marcelo Gomes. Hundreds lined Main Street in Milford in support of the 18-year-old who was detained by ICE agents over the weekend. After Sunday's high school graduation, seniors marched down the street to join residents in a rally outside Town Hall.
Marcelo was a good kid. He was excited for his future. He did absolutely nothing wrong. He was innocently going to a practice and he was targeted.
Julianis Rentes breaks down at the rally and embraces Marcelo's younger sister. Rentis says so many students are living in fear of ICE.
There's no pattern, so no one knows who's next.
Our students deserve to feel safe, and they don't feel safe. And arresting some of them traumatizes all of them.
Hands off our kids!
Milford English teacher Sherry Peterson knows Marcelo and taught him in her English class.
I can't imagine how scared he is. He doesn't know how to navigate this system. I wouldn't know how to navigate this system.
The rally lasted a few hours, drivers honking in support as they passed by. Milford Police Chief Robert Tassino says his department was unaware of Marcelo's detention until after the fact.
We want an open dialogue with the federal government about who's getting detained, why they're getting detained. We don't want, people just coming into town and being detained, or arrested solely because, they're here, illegally.
Renta says she knows Marcelo is feeling the love.
I feel really grateful that so many people showed up for Marcelo. I feel so grateful. God is so good.
The rally was both peaceful and emotional, and students say they will never stop supporting their classmate. In Milford, I'm Paul Burton, WBZ News.
We're hearing from a member of the Gomez family, a relative who actually went to the scene when Marcelo was detained. In a WBZ exclusive, she tells WBZ's Logan Hall that he's scared and just wants to come home.
Just days after ICE agents arrested 18-year-old Milford High School student Marcelo Gomes, his family is speaking out after a phone call with him from inside an ICE detention center.
He was telling ICE agents that he's a kid, he needs to go back to school, he wants to get his homework done, just something that a high school student worries about.
Marcelo's cousin, Julia Sampaio, was at the scene of the arrest, called by an underage student who was also in the car with Marcelo. The teens were on their way to a high school volleyball practice. Julia describes what it was like to see it all unfold.
I was scared. I was scared because there was at least 6 or 7 of them, and 2 of them were around the car. One of them was in a few different cars. There was probably like 4 or 5 cars there.
Did you try to talk to him at all in that moment? I mean, was there...
I was not allowed.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what really frustrated too, because I wanted answers, not for myself, but for his family.
They're a tight-knit family, and Julia has spoken to Marcelo's parents since the arrest. ICE was originally targeting Marcelo's father, João Paulo Gomes, who the car was registered to. She says the family is terrified and doing what they can to lay low.
They're scared to leave their homes. They're even scared to walk their dogs or throw their trash out, because the moment they step out of their homes, they can be detained at any point.
We spoke to that student who was also in the car with Marcelo when the arrest took place. He's also undocumented and asked that his identity be protected. He told us what he felt when he was being interrogated.
I think mainly sadness that the thought of everything that my parents left behind, everything that my parents sacrificed for, and the 10 years we've been here, all of that just gone down the drain. Everything I had personally worked for in my high school career, all of that just down the drain.
Julia says that it's been a devastating couple of days for her family, but seeing the community come together has provided them with hope. Earlier today, ICE agents called on Marcelo Gomez's father to turn himself in. That was the man that they were originally trying to arrest when they pulled Marcelo and his friends over. Julia tells me that their home has been surrounded by ICE agents since that arrest was made on Saturday, bringing a great deal of fear and uncertainty to the family. Reporting in Milford, Logan Hall, WBZ News.
Now, immigration officials said today that this is far from finished in Massachusetts, and we just saw some proof of that. I want to show you some video that we got late this afternoon. We saw federal agents at work in Milford. This was on East Main Street. The agents we saw included some from ICE, some from Homeland Security. We saw them moving in and out of vehicles, but we did not see anyone detained. Students pouring out of Milford High School marching in support of a classmate who is now in an ICE detention facility. Marcelo Gomes was picked up on his way to volleyball practice. But the country's top ICE agent is standing by that arrest. Thank you for joining us. I'm David Wade.
And I'm Lisa Hughes. As Brandon Truitt found out, the 18-year-old wasn't the intended target, but his detainment is part of a larger operation in Massachusetts.
A lot of people in this community are hurting. Frankly, some are stunned. But federal immigration officials are defiant. They will deport any undocumented immigrant, criminal or not.
ICE is not going away. We are coming for you.
It was a rare and at times heated press conference with this country's leading immigration officials, and it was meant to highlight the work of a month-long mission in Massachusetts called Operation Patriot. ICE revealing for the first time they arrested nearly 1,500 undocumented immigrants last month in the state. About half of those were people with a criminal record. More than 270 were repeats, having been removed before.
We're doing the job that ICE should have been doing all along.
But most of the questions centered around the detention of an undocumented Milford High School junior over the weekend. 18-year-old Marcelo Gomes was heading to volleyball practice in his dad's car when he was pulled over on Saturday. ICE says they were looking for his father.
When we go out into the community and we find others who are unlawfully here, we are going to arrest them. We've been completely transparent with that.
What are our priorities here? What are we doing? It just makes no sense.
Robin Nice is Gomez's attorney. She says only one member of her team has had contact with Gomes since his detainment, adding he entered the country legally from Brazil 10 years ago with a student visa.
Despite all the rhetoric around coming after people with criminal records or people who have, didn't enter lawfully, this is not that guy, and it just shows that that is not actually what's happening.
That frustration boiling over for Gomez's classmates who walked out of school Monday. Students were crying, consoling one another. Some of them prayed. Gomez's girlfriend says she's worried for his safety.
Marcelo was God's servant. He always preached the message of love. He loved his neighbor.
And I will say, his dad hasn't turned himself in yet, and his dad knows he's the target of it.
As the search for the father continues, family of Gomes speaking first to WBZ about the state of fear for this community and family.
They're scared to leave their homes. They're even scared to walk their dogs or throw their trash out because the moment they step out of their homes, they can be detained at any point.
Gomez's attorney says he's being held in Massachusetts. She's filed a petition for his release, but tells me it could be over a week before he's given a hearing. In Milford, Brandon Truitt, WBZ News.
We saw more evidence of ICE activity in Milford today. At least 2 people were detained this afternoon. Once again, the officers wore masks or face coverings. And today, the acting director seemed to get emotional, explaining that agents are protecting their identities because of previous death threats online.
I'm sorry if people are offended by them wearing masks, but I'm not going to let my officers and agents go out there and put their lives on the line and their family on the line because people don't like what immigration enforcement is.
He also said ICE agents would return to Massachusetts this month.
Soon after the federal agents spoke, students walked out in protest at Milford High School.
WBZ's Paul Burton is live in Milford, and Paul, just judging by the size of that crowd, the students walking out of the school, Marcelo Gomes has a lot of people in his corner.
Yeah, and it's a testament to his character and the impact that he's had on his fellow classmates. This was a very emotional day for these students, filled with tears, prayers, and a strong sense of unity for Marcelo Gomes, who tonight remains in ICE custody. Standing in solidarity, Milford High School students chant loudly on behalf of their beloved classmate, Marcelo Gomes.
He is not a criminal!
On Monday, students staged a walkout during their free period on behalf of Marcelo, the 18-year-old junior who was detained by ICE agents over the weekend while on his way to volleyball practice. Marcelo's girlfriend, Julianis Rentes, broke down at the rally in fear for his safety.
Scared. He was very nervous. I think he was very worried about his family.
ICE agents who detained Marcelo said he was not the target, but they were looking for his father, and they have a strong message for anyone here illegally.
He's 18 years old. He's unlawfully in this country. And unfortunately, we had to go to Milford to look for someone else, and we came across him, and he was arrested.
And I will say, his dad hasn't turned himself in yet, and his dad knows he's the target of it.
The rally started with students taking a knee, shared a brief moment of silence, followed with prayers of hope.
Lord, that you may bring him home, Lord.
Marcelo was God's servant. He always preached the message of love. He loved his neighbor. And I think because of Marcelo and how he acted towards people is why so many people came out here today.
We all love him more than words can describe. He's an amazing person. He's the light of the team.
But now a dark cloud hovers over this community filled with fear, sadness, and uncertainty of who may be the next target, knowing that ICE agents could show up at any moment and arrest anyone who's here illegally. Renta says she knows Marcelo was not the intended target.
He was never the specific target that they were looking for, because there's nothing that he does that is illegal.
And Gomes' family has hired an immigration attorney who has filed a petition for his release. Meanwhile, a judge has said that ICE must not transport him out of the state for at least 72 hours. Live in Milford, I'm Paul Burton, WBZ News.
Paul, thank you. The Milford teenager who was arrested by ICE agents will have his first court hearing tomorrow. Marcelo Gomes was detained on Saturday while he was on his way to volleyball practice. His team returned to the court last night. WBZ's Levin Reed is in Milford to show us how his teammates are rallying for him.
On Saturday, when Marcelo Gomes was detained by ICE, he was on his way to volleyball practice. So now you can imagine the buildup of emotions as his team took to the court yesterday for a home game without him. Those emotions and signs of support were in the contest, and they were shown throughout the stands. Now, Milford took on the Taunton volleyball team, and both teams had showed support for Marcelo Gomes. The Taunton volleyball team wore Marcelo support T-shirts in their warm-ups. The stands were packed with fans who wore supportive free Marcelo shirts, and the team hung Marcelo's number 10 jersey in the gym. This was all happening just days after their classmate was detained by ICE. The energy and the emotions ran high during this game, and for many of his classmates, this was a great way to show support at a tough time.
I'm glad the whole town really came out. I saw a lot of people. Everyone had like stickers and obviously the shirts. Yeah, so it was really wonderful to see.
That game represented the spirit of Marcelo. He was still there. The game is just his heart. That's just what I'm trying to say.
Now his classmates have stated that they will continue to support Marcelo through this tough time. In Milford, I'm Levin Reed, WBZ News.
Breaking news.
A judge just rejected the government's request to move a Milford teenager arrested by ICE out of state. Agents arrested 18-year-old Marcelo Gomes while he was driving to volleyball practice over the weekend. Thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Lisa Hughes.
And I'm David Wade. A court ordered the government to not move him for 72 hours. WBZ's Courtney Cole is live with us in studio now. Courtney, that time limit expired today.
David and Lisa, the government quickly requested clearance to move 18-year-old Marcelo Gomes. He's being held in a holding room in ICE's Burlington field office, and that's because there are no beds at a detention facility in the state. The government wanted to transfer him to a detention facility in Central Falls, Rhode Island. It said that facility had a bed and was more equipped to house Gomes, but his lawyer opposed the move and the judge agreed. Gomes is scheduled to meet with his lawyer face-to-face right now. He's supposed to have a hearing in immigration court tomorrow in Chelmsford. His lawyer is trying to get him released on bail. Gomes was taken into custody by ICE agents on Saturday as they were looking for his father. Gomes was driving his father's car. Now, ICE says agents arrested Gomes because he's an adult and has an expired visa.
Now at 5:30, the Milford teenager detained by ICE agents over the weekend is meeting with his lawyer right now. It's their first in-person meeting since his arrest. Thank you for staying with us. I'm David Wade.
And I'm Courtney Cole. Now, ICE says agents arrested him over the weekend because of an expired student visa. So we wanted to know, could that visa have been renewed? WBZ's Logan Hall went to Milford to get answers and found more support for the young man.
Students at Stacy Middle School in Milford rallying for Marcelo Gomes, the 18-year-old Milford High School student arrested by ICE agents on his way to volleyball practice over the weekend. As this community continues to be center stage on a national issue, Marcelo's closest friends are speaking out about the type of person he is.
Every single day at school, at volleyball, wherever he went, he always brought a smile on his face and he was always looking to uplift others.
Tyler Newman was Marcelo's neighbor and best friend. He says that Marcelo pushed himself to be someone who excelled in academics and extracurriculars.
He started taking APs, started getting more and more involved. I just watched him progress and progress, not only become a better athlete, but a better drummer, a better friend, and a better student.
Marcelo was in the U.S. on an expired student visa, raising the question, why didn't he just renew it? D.C.-based immigration attorney Kaylin Wu says the visa renewal process can be daunting for immigrants, bringing fear and uncertainty to people about going to the government.
They're being much more proactive about if you show up and you do not have proper status and you are subject to mandatory detention, they will call ICE on you and you will show up. And I think that is also sparking a lot of fear in people that, when you do get that interview notice, some people are just choosing not to show up for it because they fear being detained.
He says anyone who has previously held a visa and allowed it to expire could have difficulty renewing.
As soon as your status expires and you start accruing unlawful presence, you run into a lot of challenges, such as possibly triggering the 3 or the 10-year bar, depending on how long you've been out of status, how much unlawful presence you have.
The Milford community is continuing to speak out, with friends coming together to call attention to a person they say didn't deserve to be detained.
His academics, through his music, through his sports, and just his own personality, he serves others more than himself. He gives back to the community he's in, and without him here, it's like we're missing a piece of our community.
In Milford, Logan Hall, WBZ News.
For the first time, we are learning what it's been like for a Milford High School junior held in ICE custody for the last 4 days. Brandon Truitt just caught up with Marcelo Gomes's attorneys, who tonight, for the first time, met with him at a detention center.
Marcelo Gomes has been held at this ICE facility since he was detained over the weekend. Earlier today, a judge ruled against federal prosecutors who wanted him moved out of state, with his first appearance in immigration court just hours away.
He's very tired. He's not sleeping well. The lights are on all night long.
He's in good spirits, I think, as far as all things are considered.
The attorneys for 18-year-old Marcelo Gomes, just moments after their first meeting with the high school junior, he was detained by ICE agents in his hometown of Milford on Saturday.
He wanted to know what was the result of his volleyball team's match yesterday, and asking about his finals schedule, because he's in finals week for school. So things that a teenage kid would be concerned about.
His attorneys say Gomes has had little food, is sleeping on the floor, and was taken to the hospital Tuesday night for concerns he had a concussion.
He's very much looking forward to seeing his family, to hugging his family, and to being in his home.
His legal team says Gomes entered the country legally from Brazil when he was 7, but that visa lapsed. The government says he's here illegally. ICE claims when they pulled him over Saturday, they were looking for his father.
We love America. Please bring my son back.
João Paulo Gomes appeared in Marcelo's bedroom with the teen's mom and younger siblings, making a plea to ICE in a video message first obtained by WBZ.
I miss my son inside my home. I need to hug my son.
I really miss sleeping with my brother, saying goodnight. I just really miss having him.
Rallies and protests have popped up in Milford each day since Gomes was detained, including one Wednesday at the middle school. Thursday will be Gomes's first shot at bail.
This kid has no criminal record. He's never been in detention or suspended from school. He is the poster child of what you want your kids to grow up to become.
If Gomes makes bail on Thursday, the case against him would continue to move forward. But immigration courts are so backed up, attorneys tell me it could take years before this case runs its course. In Burlington, Brandon Truitt, WBZ News.
All right, Brandon, thank you.
The Milford teenager detained by ICE on the way to volleyball practice is going to be released from custody. This afternoon, a judge granted Marcelo Gomes a $2,000 bond during a court hearing. A crowd was gathered outside of the Chelmsford courthouse during that hearing. His classmates and the entire Milford community have been rallying around him for days, asking for his release. WBZ's Beth Germano is there to lay out what comes next for Gomes.
It's now a question of logistics. At some point last night, he was moved from detention in Burlington to Plymouth. His attorneys don't understand why. But now in order to be released, he has to be transferred back to Burlington. His attorneys call this a travesty, an 18-year-old who never should have been arrested in the first place, that he was never a flight risk. But now, again, he's going to be transferred back to Burlington, where he will finally be reunited with his family. His attorneys say his conditions have been deplorable. Within the last couple of days, he was also sent basically into isolation, with very little in the way of air and no bed to sleep on. She calls this a hollow victory, but still a victory for Marcelo. He can proceed with his life while the deportation hearings continue. In Chelmsford, I'm Beth Germano, WBZ News.
All right, Beth, and as she mentioned, we spoke with Gomes' lawyers shortly after the hearing. Here's more on what they had to say.
I think DHS knows that this was a losing battle. I could be wrong, but I don't want to assume that. But yeah, I mean, I think they said in their own filing, they only filed one document, which is a very standard one to file, which says he's not He has no criminal record. They're not trying to argue anything about his danger to the community, so that part was not a surprise. I think we were always curious to see what they're going to say in terms of flight risk, and the judge did, I think, make a nod to that, which is fine because, again, she set such a reasonable, doable bond, so that's fine. We'll take it.
What happens now? Can you talk about why he was transferred from Burlington down to Plymouth?
I can't because it is brand new news to me.
And was that not supposed to happen? I mean, you saw him yesterday.
I believe I would have to double check honestly, but I believe the order. I believe it's. I can't say at this time that it wasn't lawful or that it wasn't a valid transfer. So I don't want to. I don't have a clock and calendar in front of me. The days have blended together. So that being said, it's always nice when we're told where our client's going to be. Wherever he's going to be transferred to. So that is news to me, and it's not fun to learn in a courtroom.
I guess people at home want to know right now. So he's in Plymouth.
Yeah.
It's $2,000.
Yeah.
Where does that money come from, and when will he literally walk out of federal custody?
So there was a GoFundMe page set up, which people very generously donated to. So there's more than $2,000 in there. I'm assuming that's going to cover bond. And we do there's a close family friend who is staked out in Burlington outside the ICE facility where I'm guessing some of your colleagues are to make sure that transfer, that actual payment goes through. Most of it's online, but to actually pick up any belongings that he had taken from him, so she's there to do that. In terms of next steps, you might have heard the judge did set a next hearing date for a couple weeks from now. That's really a placeholder, presumably when he gets released. When he gets released, hopefully later today, that hearing will go away and he'll be on the regular docket. So his next hearing date might not be for like a few months, 6 months, a year. The immigration court system is broken, so I have hearings scheduled as far out as 2029. So it's just, we're going to have to wait and see.
A Milford High School junior welcomed home with joyous tears and hugs after his release from an ICE detention facility. The 18-year-old whose story captured the nation's attention is out on bond. Thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Lisa Hughes. Marcelo Gomes da Silva was picked up 6 days ago on his way to volleyball practice. And as Brandon Truitt shows us tonight, his immigration case is actually just beginning.
What a day for this teenager, his family, and this community. I spoke with Marcelo Gomes da Silva just moments after he was released. He says this experience has strengthened his faith and purpose. It is the moment many were not certain would happen. 18-year-old Marcelo Gomes da Silva arriving back to his Milford home after 6 days in ICE custody, his family and friends lining the street in his front yard, mom and dad embracing him at the front door.
The only thing I wanted to do when I got back here was hug my parents. My dad, yeah. My dad means the world to me.
We love America. We love American guy. We love this culture. This culture is good culture.
Hours earlier, a judge granted Marcelo a $2,000 bail. His attorney says it was paid for with community donations. Marcelo spoke outside the ICE facility in Burlington, where he had been held since Saturday.
I haven't showered in 6 days. I haven't done anything. The only thing I could do is thank God every day, because that's all I would do. I would pray there. I would talk about the Bible to them.
Gomes da Silva described sharing a room and an open bathroom with men twice his age. He says they were given crackers for lunch and dinner, adding he often gave his away to people who needed more food.
Nobody should be in here. Like, most people down there are all workers. They all got caught going to work, and like these people have families, man. Like, they have kids to go home to.
As we've reported, Marcelo's attorneys say he entered the country about a decade ago with a student visa, which lapsed. Marcelo says he didn't know it needed to be renewed.
I was 7 years old. Like, I don't know nothing about that stuff. Like, I don't understand how it works.
The only thing Marcelo took from the facility was part of the aluminum blanket he was given to sleep with on the concrete floor. A piece is now tied around his wrist, a reminder of what he went through and who he met.
And I told every single inmate down there when I'm out, if I'm the only one that was able to leave that place, I lost, because I want to do whatever I can to get them as much help as possible.
Back in Milford, mixed emotions. It's no secret ICE was after Marcelo's father when they pulled him over last weekend. His dad has been held up inside their home, fearing they might come for him too.
I don't want these weeks to continue on and my dad not being able to leave. Like, that's the worst thing in the world.
The case against Marcelo moves forward. His attorney tells me they filed for asylum. During this time, he can get a work or student visa. His next court appearance could be up to a year from now, and that's because immigration courts are so backlogged. In Milford, Brandon Truitt, WBZ News.
Now, Gomes' arrest is one of more than 100,000 ICE detentions since the start of President Trump's second term. CBS News exclusively obtained government data, which shows ICE arrests up significantly this week, now topping 2,000 arrests a day. By comparison, ICE averaged about 300 arrests a day in the last year of the Biden administration. President Trump promised to carry out the largest deportation effort in American history.